Hey, Math 111 students, I am reviewing quiz 4 for you. And what I did today was I worked the entire thing out. And so this review will be a little bit faster on my end, but you of course can stop and slow it down, pause, look, etc., etc. All right, question number 1 on my quiz was, got a right triangle here, and I was given one angle and one side. So then let me make sure my camera is on so you can see where I worked this out. All right, and now I shall share the screen with you. So this is what I had, and I'll just go through my process for number 1 for solving it. So I was told the 50 degrees and one side. And since it was a 90-degree triangle, I automatically knew my B, that would be 40, because 40 plus 50 plus 90 would be 180. So I knew my B. All right, and then I'd use the fact that the tangent of A that I was given, the 50 degrees, would be the opposite over the adjacent. Tangent of, oh, I did the tangent of 40, actually. I did this one. Tangent of 40 would be the opposite over the adjacent, or I could have done the tangent of 50 here. Tangent of 50 would have been the opposite over the adjacent, A over 6. And so then 6A would have been 6 times tangent of 50. But either way, you're going to get the same amount. Um, 7.15 for the A. And then I use the Pythagorean theorem to get the C. All right, Tay. Easy enough. All right, then on to number 2 here. Using the old security camera on the bank wall. The old security camera on the bank wall. Here I drew me a little picture. Okay, for number 2, here's my security camera up here looking down at some point down a little bit from it. Security camera is up 11 feet. The thing you're looking at is only up 6 feet. And so I drew my triangle with the ceiling. And then if this is only 6 feet tall, that means up from that point to the ceiling is 5 feet. This is a right triangle. And then they told us that the two were 25 feet across. So now I've got a right triangle, and I know this distance of 5 and that distance of 25. I don't know the hypotenuse. I could find it, but I don't really need it. I just want this angle of depression. So the tangent of that theta would be the opposite 5 divided by the adjacent 25. So I did the inverse tangent of 5 over 25. So the inverse tangent of 1 over 5, and that gave me 11.3 degrees. All right, then on to number 3. All right, so I was given a angle side, or a side angle. This is one that's fairly easy to use the law of sines with. Okay, so I use my law of sines here. First of all, I knew 2 angles of, but all 3 add up to 180. So it's very easy for me to get my missing angle. 180 minus the 45 minus the 85 was 50. Then I knew all 3 angles, and I could use the law of sines that says they're all in ratio to each other. So the sine of 85 divided by the 8 would equal the sine of 45 divided by the b. Solve for that. And remember, to solve proportions, you can cross multiply and divide by the extra number. So 8 times sine 45 divided by sine 85, I got 5.68. Then I did it again to find letter A. Sine of 85 degrees is to 8, as sine of 50 degrees would be to letter A. To solve a proportion, I cross multiplied and divided by the extra number, and I got A is 6.15. All right, then on to 4. All right, this is the old tree cutting form. This is the one where we are given we're finding the height of the tree. And this is a really good application of trigonometry here. All right, so we're trying to find the height of our tree, and they took two measurements, two sightings. So they stood over here, took their first sighting, and they had an angle of 60 degrees to the top of the tree. Then they walked another 50 feet out and did a second sighting, and that sighting was at an angle of 20 degrees to the height of the tree. So now we know a couple things. We know if we draw this triangle from between the two sightings, we know that's 50 feet. We know that this angle here would be 120 because it's they're supplementary. They would add up to 180. And since I knew the 60, 180 minus 60 would be the 120. And if I know 20 and 120, then this one up here has to be 40 because they're going to all three add up to 180. But what I really need to find is this C value so that I can then find the H for this larger triangle. But I can use these measures to find the C value here using the law of sines. So the sine of the 40 is in relation to the 50. Sine of the 40 is to 50 as the sine of the 120 will be to the C. Sine of 40 to 50 is equal to sine of 120 to the C. Cross multiply, divide by the extra number. You get C is 67.36. I just went ahead and rounded to 2 decimal places here. All right, so that then is the C value. That is the hypotenuse of the larger triangle that is formed with the H as the height here. Now, I know this angle, so the sine of this 20 degrees would equal the opposite, the height, divided by the hypotenuse, which we just found was 67.36. So sine of 20 is the height divided by the 67.36, multiply both sides by the 67.36 to solve for the height. And 67.36 times the sine of 20 degrees gave me a height of 23 feet. And they want it in whole numbers. They don't tell you that, but they do want it to you in whole numbers. I made that mistake one time. Solve the triangle. All right, we've got a side angle side. You cannot use you cannot use the law of sines. You got to go with the law of cosines here. All right, so let's go back here to where I worked this out. You got to go with the law of cosines. Where's 4? Excuse me, where's 5? Here we go. All right, so I was told the 7, the 55 degrees, and the 8. I'm going to first find the B, and that would be B squared equals A squared plus C squared minus 2AC times the cosine of the B. I chose that because that's the only angle I know. Substitute it all in. 7 squared plus 8 squared minus 2 times 7 times 8 times the cosine of 55 degrees. B squared equals something or another. And then you take the square root of that and you're going to get a B of 6.98. Okay. Well, now, once you know an angle and the side across from the angle, you can use your law of sines. So the sine of 55 is to 6.98 as the sine of the A is to 7. So I cross multiplied 7 times sine of 55 divided by the extra number divided by the 6.98 gave me 0.821. That'll equal the sine of A. Cross multiplied divided by the extra number. But I need A, not the sine of A, so I need to inverse sine this. So I took the inverse sine of 0.821 and that gave me the angle A. The angle A that has a sine of 0.521. So my A came out to be 55.2. At this point, I just used the fact that all three angles add up to be 180. So 180 minus 55 minus 55.2 left me with a C value of 69.8. They want your angles to 1 decimal place and your sides to 2 decimal places. Right, on to question 6. I did the first part of question 6, and then I was lazy and did not finish question 6. well, I'm not sure if this guy's going to go for it or not. So let me just show you where I did my work on question 6. All right, so I was given, this was a side, 4, 7, and 9. And so I solved for my angles using the law of cosine. So started with the b, 4 squared equals a squared plus c squared minus 2ac cosine b. So 4 squared would be the 9 squared plus the 7 squared minus 2 times the 9 times the 7 times cosine b. So I get all of this over on one side, 4 squared minus 9 squared minus 7 squared. And then I'm going to divide it by the negative 2 times 9 times 7. So I end up with negative 114 divided by negative 126. And that will give me a cosine b of something or another. And then I had to take the inverse cosine of whatever this was to get the b. And my angle B ended up being 25.2. And I just needed to follow that process 2 more times to find angle C. So angle C will start off with C. It'll start 7 squared equals the 9 squared plus the 4 squared minus 2 times 9 times 4 times the cosine of C. And the same for the angle A. My computer's locked up, so I'm just going to go through these on the paper with you. All right, this is why I wrote all this down. I've done this quiz like 4 times, and every time the computer locks up and I can't show you my answers. So I have written the entire thing down so that the 5th time is a charm. All right. Number 7, I was finding the area and I was given an angle, 2 sides with the angle in between them. If you have the 2 sides and the angle in between the 2 sides, then you can use the shorter formula to find the area. 1/2, I was given side 6, side 8, and then 40 degrees was the angle in between them. 1/2, 6 times 8 times the sine of 40, and I got an area of 15.43 square units. But on number 8, it was a side, side, side triangle, and I needed to use Heron's formula. Heron's formula is K equals the square root of the S times the S minus A times the S minus B times the S minus C, where S is the semi-perimeter. It is your side plus your side plus your side, all divided by 2. For my example, my S was 250. I didn't even write down my sides here, thinking that I could see this question, but I can't. So there you go. But my 3 sides added up to 500 and divided by 2 is 250. So then I had my 250. Then I had 250 minus my first side. I had 58 for that. 250 minus my second side. That gave me 113. And 250 minus my third side, which gave me 79. All right, so then I took the square root of all of those multiplied together. That gave me 11,377.24 square feet. But I needed the cost, and the cost was $3 per square foot. And that's how I got the 34,131.71. All right, question 9 and 10. Well, I don't know what they were because I can't get my thingy to show me. So whatever 9 and 10 were, I could do them right on the paper, and I didn't even need to write anything down. However, once I got to 11, I did need to write something down. So this is what I'll go over with you. I had the polar coordinates, r is 11, theta was pi over 2, and they wanted me to convert these to rectangular coordinates. So I'm going to use the formula that x is r cosine theta, y equals r sine theta. So x would be, r was 11, the cosine of pi over 2. The cosine of pi over 2 is 0, so this is 11 times 0, so I get an x value of 0. And then y equal r sine theta, this will be y equal 11 sine pi over 2. The sine of pi over 2 is 1. So 11 times 1 gives me 11. And this makes sense if you think about it. You know, if you're going to graph this pi over 2, here's pi over 2. and you're going up 11, okay? And that is the same as 0, 11 on rectangular coordinates. All right, Tay. Next up, number 12. Number 12, I was given the X and Y coordinates, the rectangular coordinates, -19, 0. And I use the fact that x squared plus y squared equals r squared to get the r. So -19 squared plus 0 squared is r squared. Therefore, 19 squared is r squared. R would equal 19. All right, so that's my radius. What is my theta? Well, you can just look at it. If you just graph -19, 0, you're right over here on your x-axis. And so that's what angle is that? That's pi. But just in case you forget, you can do your y, 0 over -19, the x value, and take the inverse tangent of 0, and you will get pi. All right, Tay, number 13, I was given 9x squared plus 9y squared equal to 5 and told to get it as a rectangular equation, as a polar equation. I divided everything by the 9, and I got x squared plus y squared equals 5/9. And I know what x squared plus y squared is when I'm converting from rectangular to polar. It's r squared. So basically, I just have r squared equals 5/9. This is going to be a circle with a radius of whatever the root of 5/9 is. Number 14, I was given r equal to 7. Well, this is going to be a circle with a radius of 7. But the way to think about that, you can multiply both sides by r, or no, excuse me, just square both sides. If you square both sides, whatever you do the one side, you have to do the other. R squared is 49. R squared is the same thing as x squared plus y squared. And here you are right in your standard form of a circle with the center of 0, 0, and a radius of 7. All right, number 15. I think 15 was a straight line, but I didn't write anything down on it. If that one was a circle, I'm pretty sure 15 was a straight line. Probably a horizontal line, but you could have a vertical line as well. But just convert, if it's r cosine theta, you can make it x. If it's r sine theta, make it y. It's a pretty easy conversion there. Number 16 is the one that gives us a little bit of problems. Pardon my scratch. I'm sure my cat did something to me. They do so many things to me now, I don't even notice when they harm me. I live at the mercy of my cats. All right, but you were given r equal 2 cosine theta. And so if we multiply everything through by an r, we'll have it in a form that we can manipulate. So r squared equals 2r cosine theta. R squared is just x squared plus y squared. R cosine theta is just x. So now I've got x squared plus y squared equals 2x. This is the one where you want to move it all over the other side, complete the square. And to complete the square, that's -2 divided by 2 is -1. -1 squared is +1. So that's what I want to add to the left side. But if I do it over here, I got to do it out here too, so I don't mess up my equation. So then I end up with x minus 1 all squared plus y squared equals 1. This is a circle. Remember, the basic formula for a circle is x minus h all squared plus y minus k all squared equals the r squared. So this is a circle with center 1, 0, and a radius of the square root of 1, which is 1. Circle with center 1, 0, radius of 1. Alrighty, gang. That was the quickest review I've ever done of a quiz, but as always, you can slow me down to 0.75 speed, 0.5 speed if you want, or just stop and rewind me. Okay, hope that was helpful. And as always, you can call me at 268-2516 or email me at alsopwh@octech.edu. All right, see you later. Bye.